Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing great. So let's have few more questions today. This time, however, I have included questions from paper 2 as well as paper 1. And these questions are directly picked up from December 2019 NT-NET question paper. So let's begin and do let me know if you need questions from previous papers or question which I frame myself, right? So let's begin. Our first question is select a period in which India became a center of higher learning. Options are Gupta period, Mughal period, Kushan period or British period. The right answer is Gupta period. This was the period when this famous Nalanda University was established. This was established by Kumar Gupta I. It was very popular all over Asia. People from China, from Persia used to come here for study purpose. And education here was free. There was this famous library called Dharmganj, which these scholars used for reference purposes. And this library had three different buildings called Ratna Sagar, Ratna Dadihi, Ratna Rajika. But this library was completely destroyed by a this person from Turkish origin called Bakhtiyar Khilji. This person destroyed this library completely. There were many other universities which were popular during this period. One was Ujjaini University, especially for astronomy, and Vallabhi University in Saurashtra region, Takshila University, where you could study different disciplines, medicine, ancient knowledge, etc. And this iron pillar you'll find in Mehroli is also from the Gupta period. It has written on it Chandra. This coin you can see on which Chandragupta II is there on this coin riding the horse. And on the back side, on the other side of this coin is goddess inscripted. And this Deoghar temple of Bihar, famous Dashavatara temple, that is a temple dedicated to Lord Vishnu, who is said to have 10 different incarnations. And this temple is also of Gupta architecture style. So it is also Gupta period temple. So that is about Gupta period in which India became a center of higher learning. So the right answer is option number 1. Moving on to the next question, which of the following groups has the components of para-language communication? First of all, what is para-language communication? It is one of the non-verbal communication. We have two forms of communication, verbal and non-verbal. Verbal, in which we are using the words, either spoken or written, right? And non-verbal are without using words. We may communicate so many things. For example, appearance, how we appear before the other, formal, informal. So our appearance says a lot, right? Then oculesics, that is about the eye movement. Eye movement, it is oculesics. Then olfactics, which is about body odor, the perfumes you are using, the smell, right? Chronemics is about time, use of time during the communication, how much time you're giving to the other person to speak, to reply. So that is about chronemics, how much time you're taking to reply. Proxemics, it's about the distance, how much distance you are keeping from the person you are communicating with. There can be a public space of 25 feet when you are speaking, it's a public communication, or a social space about 12 feet, or a personal space or intimate space which you use with very close people. So that is about proxemics. Then comes kinesics, which is about body movement, when you bend forward, right? Or you are using your hands, your feet while communicating to seek attention, to express yourself. So that is about kinesics, the movement part. And haptics is about touch, high five, handshake, patting on the back, or patting the shoulders. So that is about the touch. Touch may speak a lot. Then facial expression, which is very important, how you are expressing, the expression also speaks. Then vocalics or paralinguistics. which is the question about components of paralanguage. So it is about vocalics, our vocal characteristics, our voice, our tone, our stress, on which word you are stressing on, our impression, how's our impression coming, is it rude, it is polite. So all that is about paralanguage, our voice, our emphasis, the which words you are emphasizing on what idea you are emphasizing on, or impression, what is impression coming out of your message, is it polite, is it rude, it is right. So option 1 is correct answer. If you look at the other options, there's social space, which is about proxemics, it is not about vocalics or paralanguage. And again, social space is there, expression is about facial expression. So right answer is option number 1. Moving on to the next question. Devdutt is fat and he does not eat during the day. Therefore, Devdutt is eating during the night. The above example in classical Indian school of logic is a case of. So there are 6 pramanas. Pramanas are the uh, basically on what basis you are accepting a knowledge to be true. So in different thoughts, different ideologies, like if we have Buddhism, there are 2 pramanas which are valid: perception and inference. Likewise, we have 6 pramanas, out of in which 4 out of 6 are acceptable under Naya school's epistemology. If we look into them, we have first of all, Pratyaksh Praman, which is about perception, whatever you are perceiving through your eyes, through your ears, through your smell. So, what is in front of you, what you are directly in touch, that is perception. So, Pratyaksh Praman, something which is in front of you, you need to accept that that is the right knowledge you are gathering, you're acquiring. So, that is acceptable under this Karvaka school of Hinduism, right? Under Buddhism, we have 2 which are acceptable. These are perception and inferences. So, inference is about Anuman Praman or assumption Praman, right? So, that is inference, something which you are inferring out of something. You are making assumptions about something. If something is there, then you are assuming something to be true. If something is there, on the basis of which you are assuming, so you can infer, you can assume things. So that is Anuman Praman. Then we have Upama Praman. Upaman is basically about comparison, about analogy. If you have two similar situations, then you can make conclusions out of that by comparing the things. So on the basis of comparison or analogy, you are making some decisions or make creating knowledge. So that is also acceptable under 4 out of 6 Naya schools epistemology. So it is Upmana Praman. Then we have Arthapatti Praman, which is about assumption or implication, which is derived out of something, which is postulation, which is coming from a circumstance. So if there's some circumstance which is true, then if something is coming out of that, then that is also true. So if you are drawing knowledge from some assumption, some implication, some circumstance, some derivation, then that is Arthapatti Praman. Then we have Shabd Praman or Abd Praman, which is about word testimony. Something is true, something is written, something is said in Vedas, in shlokas, in knowledge system. Then you need to accept that that is also a right knowledge to be accepted. So it is about Shabd Praman, word of verbal statement, that is testimony, word testimony. And this one is Anuplabdhi Praman. It is about it has this negative cognitive proof, no perception, something you do not perceive, but you feel that something is not there, something is missing. So if we feel the need, which is feel of something which is not present, then that is Anuplabdhi Praman, right? Apprehension or non-apprehension, apprehension and non-apprehension Praman. If we see at this statement, if you look into this, Devdutt is fat and he does not eat during the day. Therefore, so you are implying something from some statement, like right, Devdutt is not eating during the day. So he must be eating during the night, because he can. No one can survive without eating. So that's about implication assumption praman. Arthpatti Praman, because you are implying knowledge. This word therefore itself is a proof that this statement is about implication, because if he is not eating, Devdutt is fat, that means he eats, and he does not eat during the day. So he does not eat during the day, that means he is eating during the night. So out of the implication of this statement, you are deriving this knowledge that Devdutt is eating during the night. So it's a case of implication. So the right answer is implication. No comparison, because there's no comparison between two things. No perception, they are not also seeing directly or listening directly, or there's no verbal testimony as well. This is not written anywhere that Devdutt is eating during the night. So the right answer automatically becomes implication. Moving on to the next question. Now this is very interesting. Sometimes there's statement type of questions, or sometimes like question like this which are directly asked as per classical square of opposition. Now this is traditional square of opposition thing which is under which is given by Greeks, right? Traditional square of opposition, and it has rules. We have A, we have E, we have I, and we have O. First of all, diagonally, if we see diagonally, then A, O, E, I. A and O are contradictory, E and I are contradictory. So rules becomes, if A is true, O is gonna be false, right? If A is true, O is gonna be false. There's gonna be case of opposition between A and O. Likewise, between I and E also, there's contradiction. If I is true, E is gonna be false. If I is false, E is gonna be true. So it's a case of contradiction between the two. And then we have contraries. A and E are contraries. I and O are sub-contraries, right? So A says that every S is B, E says no S is B. So it is about negative. Now if we see at the contraries, then we can say that A and E can both be false, but not true. So that is the rule here, that A and E, which are contraries, both can be false but both cannot be true. Likewise, sub-contraries, both can be true but not false. Then comes the case of subalterns. That is, no S is B, and here some S is not B, some S is P. So the case here says that both these are alterns, superalterns, and these are subalterns. If superalterns are true, if A is true, then S is gonna be false. If E is true, O is gonna be false, right? And then we have opposite. If subalterns are false, if subalterns are false, then they are gonna be false. If superalterns are true, then subalterns are also gonna be true. If subalterns are false, then superalterns are also gonna be false. This we can understand from simply analyzing the statement, right? If every S is P, then some S is P, right? So we can say that if superaltern is true, then some altern is also gonna be true. But if some S is P, that doesn't mean that every S is P, right? So if this becomes true, this cannot be true. But if this is false, that some S is P is false. That means that some S is not P, then it also becomes false, right? Because if some S is P is false, that means that some S are not P, right? If some S are not P, then how it can be true because it says every S is P. So that's the rule. If this is true, this is gonna be true. But if subalterns are false, then superalterns are gonna be false. So this is rule. Rule number one, that A and O are gonna be opposite. I and O are gonna be opposite. Contradiction. Then contraries. Rule of contraries, that if A is between A and E, that both can be false but not true, and here both can be true but not false. Superaltern and subalterns. A is true, I is false. I is false, A is false. E is true, O is true. O is false, E is false. That's the rule. That's it. Now coming to the question. If A proposition is given as true, then which one of the following is correct? If A is true, then about E, about I, and O, we have to decide. So E is gonna be, if A is true, that E is gonna be true. If A is true, both can be false but not true. That means if A is true, then E is gonna be not true. So E is gonna be false. E proposition is false. Likewise for I, if A is true, I is gonna be true, like the rule of subalternation. So I is gonna be true as well. And O, it's a case of opposite. So if A is true, O is gonna be opposite, that is false. So the right option becomes 1. If we take one more example, right? Question is, if A is true, so we know that if A is true, I is gonna be true as well. The case between superalterns and subalterns, that superalterns are true, subalterns are gonna be true. So if A is true, I is gonna be true, but here I is false. I is not given. I is underdetermined. I is true. Yes, I is true. And E, about E is gonna be false because both can be false but both cannot be true. If A is true, E is gonna be false. So that's why with option number 1 we find option number 4 with A being matched, right? So the right answer becomes option number 4, where A is matched with 4. If we look into option number B, if E is true, so if E is true, both can be false but not true. So that's why we can say that A is gonna be false. A is gonna be false. And so there's no option for that. So we will see about I or O. So I is gonna be contradictory. If E is true, I is gonna be false. And if E is true, O is gonna be true. So option number 1 we can match with option number B. Then comes if I is true. If I is true, so we have no case if I is true we can determine A, right? Some S can be P, but we cannot say about every S then. So that's why if I is true we cannot determine A, but we can determine we cannot determine A, but we can determine E because E is a case of contradiction, opposite, completely opposite. So option 2 becomes the right answer, that E is false and A is undetermined. Now if we speak about O, so for O also there's same case, that if O is true we cannot say about E, no S is B, right? We only can say if O is false, E is false. But if O is true we cannot determine E. So we cannot determine E, and we cannot determine I as well. Now if we have O, both can be true but not false. So we have O false, so that means this can be true. That's the case, but let it be because only third option is left for D, so we can match it with third option. So I hope you understand the rule that there are A, E, I and O. A, E, I and O. A and O, E and I are a case of contradiction, that they are going to be opposite, right? A is true, O is false. A is false, O is true. A is true, I is false. A is false, I is true. Then comes the case of alternating, right? These are alterns, AE, super alterns these are. So these can be false together but not true together. If A is false, E can be false, but if A is true, E is definitely gonna be false. So both can be false together but not true. And if we speak of subalterns, that is I and O, both can be true together but not false. No, they cannot be false together. So that's the case. And between superalterns and subalterns, if superaltern is true, subaltern is gonna be true as well. If E is true, O is true. If A is true, I is true. And if superalterns are false, like I and O are false, A and E are also gonna be false, right? If I is false, A is false. O is false, E is false. So that's the rule. That's it. You can solve questions like every cat is dog with this with the help of this diagram, or in fact there's Venn diagram also, which we will discuss if there's question. If I'll include question any day about Venn diagram, solving questions with the help of Venn diagram. We simply make a statement. If there's a statement that all dogs are cats, so we make this that this is cat and this is dog. All dogs are cat. So that is how you solve Venn diagram questions. So it is about square of opposition. The Greeks used this to solve problems. Next we have question number 5. Which of the following pairs are correctly matched? Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore has written a book called Gitanjali, for which he was awarded Nobel Prize as well. But there's no book written by Rabindranath Tagore in the option. So we have to find out which pair is correct. Rabindranath Tagore and Why I Am an Atheist. No, it is not written by Rabindranath Tagore. It is written by Bhagat Singh Azad. He wrote this book when some of his friends asked him, said to him that you have become atheist. So it's about him. It's his thought process. It is about Bhagat Singh. Then we have Jawaharlal Nehru, the discovery of India. Yes, Jawaharlal Nehru has written this book, The Discovery of India. So option B is the right answer. Mahatma Gandhi has not written Jail Diary. Jail Diary is again written by Bhagat Singh. He's written this book, Jail Diary. And Indian Pilgrim, it is written by Subhash Chandra Bose. Yes, it is written by Subhash Chandra Bose. An Indian Pilgrim. It is his unfinished biography. If we see few more books of freedom fighters, Lala Lajpat Rai has written Unhappy India. The Golden Threshold is written by Sarojini Naidu. Tryst with Destiny, it's actually the speech, very famous speech of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on the eve of independence. He delivered this speech which became very famous. So only option B and option D are right. That is, An Indian Pilgrim is written by Subhash Chandra Bose and Discovery of India is written by Jawaharlal Nehru. Why I Am an Atheist is by Bhagat Singh Azad and Jail Diary is also by Bhagat Singh Azad. Mahatma Gandhi has written Swaraj book which is called Swaraj, The Experiments with Truth. These are his contributions. And Rabindranath Tagore has written Gitanjali and various other uh, books. Match the logos and the mascots. We have three logos. First is of the Lalit Hotels, which this group came in existence in 1988. It was founded by Lalit Suri, and their mascot is Lalit Group's mascot is this Elfie. So this is their mascot. Then we have this blue colored logo of Indian Railways, and Indian Railways now has 19 zones, 19 railway zones with 19, we have 19 different zones like South Central, East Central, North Central, Northeast Frontier. So we have 19 different railway zones under Indian Railways. Their mascot is this Bholu. Bholu the elephant is their mascot, and Air India logo you can see. It is basically swan, flying swan, and chakra, this chakra. So this Air India, truly India is the tagline, Air India, and Campbell Wilson is the MD CEO. Campbell Wilson. Air India's very old mascot is Maharaj, the Maharaj, right? This is Konark Chakra, Konark Sun Chakra, and this is Swan about the logo. And Air India's current CEO and Managing Director is Campbell Wilson. Air India's tagline is Truly India. AI is the code, ITA code, right? Moving on to the seventh question. Match the items in list 1 with those in list 2. Leverage ratio. So we have various ratios in financial management. We have leverage ratio, we have profitability ratio, we have activity ratio, right? We have solvency ratio. So leverage ratio is about debt financing and equity financing, on which finance you the business is more reliable on. So it is about debt financing, the finance you gather through loans, etc. And equity finance is about the finance you raise through stakeholders, you by issuing the shares of your company. So in equity finance, you are actually giving some kind of ownership to the shareholders, to the person, to the finances. But in debt financing, you will only pay the interest on the debt. Then we have activity ratio. It is about effectiveness in using the resources, the machines, the cash, the everything. So this one matches with this one matches with this. And profitability ratio, it is, of course, as the word says, profitability. It is about the returns you get from the sales and investments, what profit you are making. So this ratio tells about the profitability of a company. Growth ratio is about maintaining the economic position in the growth of the economy and industry. So it is simply about the growth rate, right? So this question was very easy, because if we understand the meaning of activity profitability, we can easily match the things here. So that's about it. Solvency ratio is about the long time survival of the company. Profitability, activity, leverage. Moving on to the question number 8. World's leading luxury train 2021. So this award is given by World Travel Awards, are every year are given. So for luxury trains, this Canadian Rocky Mountaineer has won in 2021, in 2022. Both are received by Rocky Mountaineer. Earlier, Deccan Odyssey has also received this award in 2019. Maharaja Express was for 6-7 years the winner of WTA World Travel Awards Luxury Train Awards. Leading luxury train. Blue Train is a train from South Africa. Rovos Rail is again from South Africa. This Orient Express, Belgium-based train, you have, right? So they have won awards as leading luxury train every year. So these are historical winners. And for 2020 and 2021, Canadian train Rocky Mountaineer was the winner. Moving on to the ninth question, which of the following is not correct? Not correct, we have to find out. Mean is equal to median is equal to mode for a symmetrical distribution. Yes, for symmetrical distribution, mean, median, mode are equal, right? Mean, median, mode. For a moderately asymmetrical distribution, mode is equal to 3 median minus 2 mean. So this is also true. For a moderately asymmetrical distribution, we can say that positively skews option C. This is true. This is also true. Uh, for a positively skewed distribution, positively that means right skewed, negatively means left skewed. And the difference between the two is that for a positively skewed distribution, mean is higher, median is less, and mode is then less, right? Mode, median, and mean, right? Mean values are higher and they are less. So yes, C also becomes right. Option D, for a negatively skewed distribution, mode is less, median is then greater, and mean is greatest. No, if the signs were like this, then it could have been true, because for a negatively skewed distribution, mean is lowest, median, and then mode. This goes like this. So mean, if mean was the lowest, then it could have been the negatively skewed or right skewed. Right skewed, that is there's tail to the right, left skewed, that there's a tail to the left, long tail to the left. So the option number D becomes not true. So answer for this question is option number D, that for a negatively skewed distribution, the value of mean is lowest, and for a positively skewed distribution, mean is highest followed by median and mode. Question number 10 is, who operated the first scheduled commercial airline on 10th of June 1914 to the USA in St. Petersburg route? So this famous flight, the first takeoff run, this was the flight. It was over Tampa Bay. You can see Tampa Bay. Tampa you'll find in Florida. The airport for Tampa Airport is Tampa, TPA, Tampa International Airport, and St. Petersburg of Florida. The code is PIE, International Airport now. PI is the code for St. Petersburg International Airport. We also have St. Petersburg in Russia, and its code is LED. LED is the code for St. Petersburg in Russia. LED. Coming to the question, this famous airline flight, that first scheduled commercial airline over Tampa Bay on 10th June 1914 from St. Petersburg to Tampa. You will also find Miami here in Florida. The airport code is MIA, and it's famous for Walt Disney World, right? So this flight, the question is about, was piloted. Who was piloting this flight? It was Anthony Habersack Jonas. Anthony, or short for Tony Jonas. So option 2 becomes the right answer. Tony Jonas was piloting this first scheduled commercial international airline. So that's the end of video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Have a great day.